So I have the pleasure of introducing our guest speaker for today, Dr. Sotaro Honda, who is a crop scientist from Tokyo. He is currently a visiting scholar from Tokyo University of Agriculture and Technology in the Natural Resources and Environmental Management Department under Professor Tomoaki Miura, and Tropical Plant and Soil Sciences Department under Professor Jonathan Dine, working on rice research in Hawaii, which I am very excited to learn more about today. Dr. Honda's studies in crop science are especially focused on rice physiology and genetics. His recent work has focused on uncovering the genetic basis of photosynthetic performance in field-grown rice. Without further ado, I will let Dr. Honda take it over from here. Thank you.
Thank you for nice beginning and kind introduction from Sydney. And it's really very honor to be here today. And thank you all for coming. Okay, so today I will talk about rice. And this bag is actually the rice we harvested in Hawaiʻi Island last year. Okay. But before starting about the story of rice, let me briefly introduce myself again. Next page. Okay, so my name is Sotaro, and I am a crop scientist. And as an undergraduate at the Tokyo University of Agriculture and Technology, I developed a high-throughput measurement method for rice photosynthesis, and this is the start of my rice research. And for the master's degree at the University of Tokyo, I worked on modifying starch property using the mutagenesis or genome editing method and altering the starch grain and also starch in leaf and stems. It was really interesting work, but now stopped. And then for my PhD, I returned to the TUAT and I developed a predictive model for photosynthesis. It's like a more bioinformatics research rather than the crop or agronomy. And I struggle with transcriptome data. It's a really large data set of gene expression profile. And then last March, I received my PhD. And currently, I continue working at the UAT as an assistant professor. And since this October, I have also been here as a visiting scholar. And my current research theme is, developing suitable and locally adapted rice production system in Hawaii. And I love Hawaii's climate and people here. And also I love lokomoko and poke and burgers and fries and also local beers. Okay. So let's move to the next of why rice research in Hawaii. In Japan, including myself, we eat rice every day. And there in Hawaii, people eat a lot of rice, right? But almost of this rice is imported from the mainland or from the other countries. And then let's look back a little into history. More than 100 years ago, from the mid-18th to the early 19th, rice was actually grown in Hawaii. There were many paddy fields, mainly for taro or karo, but rice was also cultivated, especially immigrants from China or Japan. And at its peak, rice cultivation in Hawaii reached about 10,000 acres. This picture was taken in Makiti. You can see people transplanting rice by hand in the paddy field. However, in the 19th, large-scale mechanized rice farming developed in California, and cheap rice began to flow into Hawaii, and local rice production gradually declined. As a result, today nearly all rice in Hawaii is imported, as I mentioned. A survey in 2010 shows that the rice self-sufficiency rate was 0%, shown here. more than 140 million pounds of rice are imported from mainland and consumed every year. Now, please imagine what if the rice you eat every day was grown locally in Hawaii? That makes us happy, I believe, and it is also good for us food security and food for reducing food miles. So it's good for environmental issues. With this background, our team at TUAT and UH Manoa started a joint research project to revive rice production in Hawaii. Everything I will show you today is a result of strong support from the members you can see here, and also as many other people who are not on this slide. So, we Japanese every year grow rice in our experimental field or farmers field. So from here, I will show you a series of rice cultivation pictures. This photo shows a typical spring scene, preparing paddy fields by flattening them before transplanting. And at the same time, in a greenhouse, we raise rice seedlings separately. Then we transplanting them into the field using a special rice transplanting machine like this. And this is my junior. And in research, we often transplant rice by hands because we use hundreds of varieties. It's important but really hard work. After transplanting, we keep the field flooded and the rice grows, becomes taller and taller. And in summer, rice starts to flower. We call this stage heading stage when the panicle emerges. And 1 month later from here, the grains get mature, the panicles bend down, and it's time to harvest. This paddy-based system is very productive and well established in Japan. But it also uses a lot of water and also needs a special land. It's suitable for paddy control. And in Hawaii, the remaining paddy fields are really limited and mainly used for cattle. So I think we cannot take water or land from cattle now. So we decided to try a different system, that is upland rice. Upland rice is another traditional rice growing system in Japan. And rice is directly seeded and grown in dry fields without flooding. Recently, it has gained attention as a more sustainable and climate-friendly approach because it uses less irrigation water. We thought this system might allow rice production in Hawaii without building new irrigation infrastructure by using existing agricultural lands such as former sugarcane plantations. Once we decided on upland cultivation, and the next steps were, where should we grow rice and what variety should we use? So we are now here on Oahu, and our upland rice trials started on Kauai in Papa here. It's simply because our key collaborator, Jerry Orignaz, he is a farmer, is living to farming here. And honestly, our rice project wouldn't be possible without Jerry's help. And he prepared this beautiful, well-managed field for us. So next, we have to decide what variety should we use. And rice can be broadly classified into short grain rice and medium grain rice and long grain rice. In general, Japanese people prefers this short grain rice. It's sticky and sweety, and maybe medium grain rice, including colors, is the most commonly eaten group in Hawaii, I think. And long grain rice is also delicious. I love yellow rice of Lasoon. So yeah, either is okay for me, but in this time we decided to start with Japanese rice cultivar. It's a short grain rice. So we chose two varieties. The first one is Koshihikari, and the second one is Hitomebore. And Koshihikari is most widely grown and consumed rice variety in Japan. It is known for its strong stickiness, glossy appearance, and rich sweetness. And its eating quality remains very high even after cooling. So I think it's very suits for super muesli. And Hitomebore is also a major Japanese variety, ranking second in cultivation area in Japan. And its name, Hitomebore, means falling in love at first sight. It has a well-balanced texture, sweetness, and softness, and with a clean and light finish. But it's hard to tell them apart just by looking, I think. So this is just my imagination, but in simple terms, you can think Koshihikari as a king of Japanese rice, and Hitomebore as one you fall in love with. With this upland system and Kappa field site and Koshihikari and Hitomebore, two Japanese varieties, we started our rice trials. On March 17th last year, I attended my graduation ceremony in Japan. And the same night at 9 p.m., I got on a plane in Tokyo and headed to the Hawaii. And 9 hours later, I landed in Lihue. And at Jerry's farm, the first thing we did was measure and mark the plot using a tape measure. This is me. Then we use a hand push seeder to sew Koshihikari and Hitomebore like this line. This is one subplot. After that, we protected the field with nets, like this white net, to keep the Hawaii chickens away from our rice seeds. And 1 month later, thanks to Hawaii's climate and Jerry's careful management, the rice grows very well. And after 2 months, the plant reached heading and flowering. And after 3 months from seeding, it was already harvest time. Golden panicles were bending down. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there for the harvest, but the professors, including Tomoaki here, have all done. So this is the part of freshly harvested rice. And then the rice, these rice were air dried for about 1 month. Then we processed the rice. First, we threshing and winnowing, and then milling. In total, from the first upland rice trial, we harvested about 300 pounds of rice in just 3 months. It's very surprising for me. And the yield per unit area was comparable to the average yield in Japanese upland rice. And what really impressed us was the large grain size and high quality. So what drove this high yield and quality? This is a research question of mine. And to answer that, we also grew the same two varieties in Tokyo, both under upland fields and also paddy conditions as a comparison. So now I will focus on 3 key features of Hawaii grown rice: short growth period, good yield, and also high quality. in Hawaii, the rice reached heading in 60 days from seeding and harvesting 97 days. And in Japan, upland rice headed in 97 days and harvested in 134 days. And paddy rice in Japan headed in 82 days and was harvested in 126 days. So why was growth so much faster in Hawaii? We looked at climate differences between Hawaii and Japan. And this graph shows the average temperature. Orange is Kappa and green is Tokyo. The shaded area shows the daily maximum temperature and also minimum temperatures line. And look at these first 30 days. Hawaii was warmer. After that, Hawaii is relatively stable, warm temperature, while Japan became hotter and hotter in summer. It's reached over 30 Celsius degrees. I imagine that this early warm temperature in Hawaii likely supported early growth, but this alone probably does not explain the much faster heading. So next I checked the solar radiation. But solar radiation was actually similar between Japan and Hawaii. So this might be not a reason. Then we looked at day lengths. Here we saw a big difference. Hawaii started at just over 12 hours of daylight, and also it increased, but it remains shorter than in Japan. And rice is a short day plant. So when day lengths become shorter than around 13.5 hours, it triggers flowering. So we believe that this shorter day length in Hawaii accelerated heading in these Japanese varieties. So in general, when growth duration is shorter, crop yields often become lower. But in our result, upland rice in Hawaii has surprisingly good yield. And this is a comparison between Hawaii's upland rice and Japanese upland rice and Japanese paddy rice. And the y-axis represents the grain yield. So statistically, it was comparable between upland rice in Hawaii and Japan. So what supported this Hawaii's yield, even if the growth duration is much shorter? As a crop scientist, we break yields into components. This time, 3 components. The first one is total spike rate number, grain number per unit area. And the second one is grain filling rate. It's fertile or immature. And the third one is thousand grain weight. The weight per unit grain, it means the grain largeness. So let's check the total spike rate number first. And this was relatively low in Hawaii. And this is grain filling rate. Grain filling rate was much higher in Hawaii compared to Japanese rice. And also it was same for 1,000 grain weight, around 24 grams per 1,000 grains. It's a really high value for us. And this is a picture of 10 rice grains. As you can see, Hawaii's rice is really larger than the Japanese ones. So in short, even in short growth duration, and also the spike rate number was lower in Hawaii, high grain filling rate and also high 1,000 grain weight supported the yield in Hawaii. So we then interpreted these results using climate data again. So total spikelet number, its number of grain or sink size, is mainly determined before heading stage. So here we found positive relationships between pre-heading mean temperature and also the cumulative solar radiation. So lower temperature, this circle means Hawaii data. So lower temperature and lower cumulative solar radiation before heading likely reduce the spikelet number in Hawaii. So next we looked at grain filling and grain weight, which was influenced mainly by post-heading conditions. And here shows the result of 1,000 grain weight. 1,000 grain weight shows a negative relationships with post-heading temperature. This suggests that temperature around 28 or 29 degrees in Japan may have inhibited starch biosynthesis or increased respiration, reducing grain weight. But it was not occurring in Hawaii, I believe. And cumulative radiation alone did not show any relationships between 1,000 grain weight. But when we looked at the radiation per spikelet, we found a positive relationships between 1,000 grain weight. So it means the amount of solar radiation and also the balance between the grain number and amount of solar radiation affected the good growth in Hawaii. And grain filling rate shows the same pattern. So finally, we looked at the grain quality. We use an index of the so-called whole grain ratio. It's a white and well-matured rice grains percentage. And as you can see, Hawaii grown upland rice shows a high ratio. And this is a photo of grains again. And the Hawaiian rice is very transparent and very mature. And unfortunately, this Japanese upland rice is you can see white grains. It means loosely packed starch granules, and it causes a scatter light. So you can see this grain as white, and it means the low quality. So here again, we plotted the post-heading temperature and post-heading solar radiation per spikelet and the whole grain ratio. And again, moderate temperature in Hawaii and sufficient radiation per each grain supported the high quality in Hawaii. So in conclusion, long temperature and short day lengths accelerated growth and heading. And high fertility and large grain weight offset slightly fewer spikelets driven by strong solar radiation during grain filling. And excellent grain quality was supported by favorable temperature and radiation during grain filling. So in short, the climate, especially for the post-heading, supported the high yield in Hawaii. So overall, these are very positive results for us for continuing rice production in Hawaii. So for next steps, we are exploring the possibility of wet season cultivations since rice can be grown in just 3 months. But actually, it was not successful. And we also have started trials in Oahu, Waimanalo. And yeah, 1 month has passed from the seeding, and this rice grows really well now. And we are working on tasting event or taste test and chemical analysis of starch and better understanding of eating quality. So what property or what taste is good for you guys? And at the same time, we have a lot of many challenges. Weed control is a major issue. And also lodging at maturity has occurred in last time, and this is also a big problem. And also the scaling up from trials to the real production in farmland may bring more issues. But anyway, we will keep working on them. So this is the final slide. I'd like to thank all of you for listening and for support from Jerry and other staff, faculty, and students, and also the team. Okay, mahalo nui loa.